All right. Welcome to something interesting in the book of Genesis. I am going to be reading chapter 6, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive. So hopefully you get something out of this. If you do, be sure to subscribe to this channel and feel free to leave a comment. Let me know as well if you like this format. All right. So Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives all which they chose. What's interesting about this is we see in verse 2 that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them. They took them. This is basically capturing women, making them their wives, and then afterwards, we'll see in verse 4, but the offspring of the angels with these women, they become giants. So this is quite fascinating that we get a snapshot of this. There's no other book around today, especially in English, that talks about the origins of man, and then also the origins of the flood. So you get little snapshots around the world, but nothing in great description like this. So this is the reason why a worldwide flood happened. All right, so verse 3. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years, which is quite interesting because there's only one person in the I think it's the first or second Kings where there was a prophet, priest actually, and he lived to be 130 years. Everyone else, basically after the time of King David, lived to no more than 120. In fact, it'd be less. Like even King David himself, I believe, died around the age of 70. So even by today's standards, people don't live past 120. They just don't. You can make up stuff. You can say, oh yeah, there's records of people living past 120 and all this kind of stuff, but there's not. So, and it's all because of this right here, Genesis 6. Man's days are limited. This is because of God putting a limit, putting a cap on man. And I think if he, and this is my theory, so I always like to inject my thoughts, if God didn't put that limit, 120, I believe we could live up to 1,000 years. Why 1,000 years? Well, because before this chapter, we see mankind living up to past 900 years. In fact, Methuselah lived up to 969 years, which is quite amazing. And Adam lived 930 years. And the reason why I think he only lived 930 is because he was not allowed to have access to the tree of life. And I think when you have access to the tree of life, you get to live for 1,000 years at a time. Now, can they prove that? Absolutely not. I cannot prove that, nor do I have time to try and figure that out. But this is just a thought that I had because Adam was kicked out. Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, and he lived to 930. So I just went, what if he had access to the tree of life, which God said he must not have access to the tree of life, otherwise they will live forever, which is interesting because in the book of Revelation talks about us having access again to the tree of life. And in the millennium reign, we reign with Christ for 1,000 years here on earth, which is quite interesting as to why it's 1,000 years. And Satan is also bound up for 1,000 years. And after the 1,000 years, he is let loose for a season, or he's chained up for a season and let loose. And then he goes hog wild because he knows his time is short. And I think if I can get done with Genesis, I might do a series on the book of Revelation, something interesting. I think it's a fascinating study. Doesn't hurt to read the whole book of Revelation, because there is a blessing in that as well. Where are we? Okay, we're on verse 4. Look at that. We've made it. We're at the 5-minute mark and we're on verse 4. So I'll try and speed up a little bit. There were giants in the earth in those days and those after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, that they bear children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And if you ever want to get a little snapshot into that, check out the book of Enoch, because it talks a little bit more about it. That book goes heavy into fallen angels, the pact they made, all this kind of stuff, asking Enoch to intercede for them, all this kind of stuff. And it's heavy, it's crazy, it sounds like science fiction, all kinds of stuff. And I think perhaps maybe that's why I didn't make it into the canon, because it's out there, and some people date that book around 100 200 BC, which means that Enoch didn't write it. It could be a Jewish legend, who knows what. But it's also not in the Hebrew Bible as well, which is kind of interesting that the Jews that put together their Hebrew Bible, which is 24 books, felt that they would not include Enoch in there, which is quite interesting. So anyways, verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, man was wicked. Man, as soon as he woke up, he was thinking, what can I do to rob my neighbor, to sleep with everyone else on the planet, all this kind of stuff, to corrupt animals, whether that's having sex with animals, bestiality, eating each other. Like there's even legends of humans feeding the giants, and once their crops ran dry, then the giants would start eating people and eating each other and all kinds of stuff. And this is the type of environment, again, according to legend, that these people were in. It wasn't just somebody mad at someone. There was corruption. Probably crops were being corrupted. All kinds of trees were being corrupted. Trees that could live for thousands of years. Who knows what they were doing? Mixing DNA, sampling, creating viruses. Who knows what? So, verse 6, and it repented the Lord that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, and these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, triplets, if you will. The earth, that's what I think. I think they're triplets. They might have been born 9 months apart. Who knows? Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So it's interesting that the earth was corrupt as well, not just people. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood, rooms that shalt make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch, and this is the fashion which thou shalt make of it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, and the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height 30 cubits. And a window shalt thou make to the ark, and in the cubit thou shalt finish it above, which is quite interesting. And the door of the ark that shall set in the side thereof, with the lower, second, and third stories thou shalt make it. So there's a window that Noah was to make, and basically a cubit by cubit, and that was to be on top of the ark, which is kind of interesting. Behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all the flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee, and of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort thou shalt bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be made male and female, of fowls after their kind, of cattle after their kind, every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, two of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. So it's very important for God to keep animals alive. And before Noah leaves the ark, the animals actually were quite friendly with people. They were able to approach people, all this kind of stuff. And this is probably why the animals got corrupted, because they were so trusting of humans. Verse 17, the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bear up the ark, and was lift up above the earth, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. Very similar to the Spirit of God hovering above the face of the waters. We get this kind of an image with the ark above the waters, the face of the waters, and there is no life. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. You might be asking yourself, how would Noah know this? Well, if he had a window above the ark, he can take little sneak peeks, open up the window, have a look around. And then if he saw waves that were like, say, 15 to 30 cubits, then you can have a guesstimation as to how high the waves are, especially if you see in the background the mountains being covered by the waves, and then you see the mountains and you don't see them. You can have a bit of a reference because you know the height of the ark, which is 30 cubits. So I think it would be easy to have a guess as to how high above the mountains the waters were. Right, so verse 19, waters prevailed, got all that stuff. Verse 21, and all the fish died, all the flesh, not fish, all the flesh died, that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, of cattle, of beast, of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. And it's interesting that none of the fish obviously died. It's quite interesting because we could have very old fish, whales, sharks, all kinds of stuff that are before the flood. Wouldn't you like to be able to tap into their mind to be able to see what's going on? And obviously we don't speak to fish or anything like that, but if you could somehow get a snapshot of what it was like before the flood, it'd be kind of interesting, because they're like the oldest species alive that was dated, that goes before the flood. It's kind of interesting. I know that doesn't make any sense scientifically, but hey. All right. So all flesh died. We got that, and all in whose nostrils was the breath of life of all that was in the dry land died. And of every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, that they were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So is that 3, 6, 9, 120? So 5 months. 5 months the waters prevailed on the earth. So Noah and his family, that's it. That's all that's left. Noah, his wife, his 3 kids, 3 sons, and their wives. Those are the only humans left on earth. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you got something from it. Hopefully the audio is good as well in this one, and the video and all this kind of stuff. If you like this kind of format, let me know that as well. I really appreciate you watching this video and spending the time on this YouTube channel. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks for watching. See you later. signing off. All right. Done. And then this is done as well.